So, I have the M4 Max MacBook Pro, I have the M1 Max MacBook Pro, and in today's video, I want to do a full comparison between these two machines. This is the fully spec'd M1 Max MacBook Pro, this is the fully spec'd M4 Max. So, in today's video, I want to compare them both, all the displays, all the differences, the keyboard, the trackpad, the performance, the battery life, everything will be compared today. So if you are excited, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, let's get started. These machines have very similar designs. I would say pretty much the same. The only difference is that you can get the M1 Max MacBook Pro on this new space black color, while the M1 Max machine is only available on the space gray. So if you do really enjoy the space black color and you don't really mind paying extra $2,000, then quit the video right now and buy the M4 Max MacBook Pro. But if you do really think about money and you don't really care about having the extreme performance of the M4 Max MacBook Pro, then you should know that both these machines have the same hardware overall. They have the same 16-inch display, although the M1 Max MacBook Pro has only 500 nits of peak brightness, usually. You also have HDR brightness, but that's different. While the M4 Max MacBook Pro does have a peak brightness of 1200 nits, so it has a much brighter display actually. But again, both displays are 120 Hz, both displays are mini LED displays, P3 color gamut. Other than that, the keyboard, the Magic Keyboard, is the same, the trackpad is the same, the speakers, the same, they sound the same, you cannot notice any difference. The webcam is different, the webcam on the M1 Max MacBook Pro is an 8 megapixel, 1080p webcam, it's okay, it's not the best, while the M4 Max MacBook Pro does have the center stage webcam present on the iMac, the iPad Pro, so it is actually a bit better. If you notice from one to the other, if you compare them both, you will notice some differences. Well, the speakers, like I told you, the same, the trackpad, the same, the keyboard, the same. They both have Thunderbolt 4 ports. You can get and you can spec Thunderbolt 5 ports on the MacBook Pro. They are expensive, but it might be worth it for you depending on your use case. You have 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports in these computers, like 3 USB-C ports. You have the MagSafe 2. I think it's the 2 or the 3 standard, not sure there. You also have an headphone jack, and you have the usual HDMI SD card slots. These are very useful, but they are the same speeds on both computers. But taking a closer look to the display, you can actually notice the difference side to side. I know that in this video you won't be able to. I have the studio light right here, and it's not easy. But even on the B-roll, you probably can notice that the M1 Max MacBook Pro is not as bright as the M4 Max. And this might be a very important factor when deciding to buy a new computer, because if you do lots of video editing, photo editing outside, on the go, on the shoot, that's why you buy a laptop, maybe the extra brightness will help you out with the sun. I don't know. For me, I never found that my M1 Max MacBook Pro display wasn't bright enough. But now that I've used the M4 Max for a bit, I can notice the difference, wouldn't pay $2,000 over it. Other than that, the displays are the same, like I told you, the same 120 Hz, which I think is a crucial part of buying the MacBook Pro. Because 120 Hz makes everything looks fluid, makes everything smooth like butter. And once you get used to 120 Hz, you won't be able to go back to 60 Hz. That's quite incredible, because you probably don't even notice that when buying a new computer. You will notice whenever you quit 110 Hz. It's almost like a drug. It's very addictive. But overall, I would say that the M1 Max MacBook Pro's display is still top 1% in the world in terms of computers. So if you go for the M1 Max MacBook Pro, don't be ashamed, you will have one of the best displays in the world. If you go for the M4 Max, no, it's a bit brighter, but that's just it. As for the performance, well, that's a different story. Because the M1 Max MacBook Pro came out in 2021, while the M4 Max came out in 2024, and you have 3 years of upgrades over these two computers. The M1 Max was the first Max chip launched by Apple, and it was the combination of 2 M1 Pro chips. While the M4 Max is a bit different, it's not the same method of creating the chip. This is a much bigger chip than the M4, definitely. It has more performance cores, it has more efficiency cores, but overall, it has more GPU cores, which is the most important part of the Max chip. If you are looking to buy an M1 Max, an M4 Max, know that the CPU performance is really similar to the M1 Pro or the M4 Pro, respectively. But you are buying the Max version because you want the extra GPU performance. Which workflows require that? DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro, 3D rendering, After Effects on Photoshop, any type of multi-core intensive task or GPU intensive task will require GPU intensive things. And so you need to buy the Max chip. The M1 Max was way ahead of its time, was super powerful and had insane battery life and of course incredible efficiency. These computers never turn on their fan. And 3 years later, I have no issues editing all my videos on Final Cut Pro and DaVinci Resolve using the M1 Max MacBook Pro. And I'm pretty much sure if you buy the M4 Max MacBook Pro in 2024, 3 years from now, in 2027, it will be the same story. These computers are built to last. And I'm pretty much sure that the M1 Max MacBook Pro 4 years later, 5 years later, will be still a very fast machine. Of course, you can start to notice that things slow down a bit. Using Final Cut Pro, you can start to notice that it's not as intense. And if you go to the Final Cut Pro app and you actually do any type of benchmark, any type of, AI task, and you compare them both, you will not notice that the M4 Max MacBook Pro is definitely much faster than the M1 Max MacBook Pro. And yeah, I want to show you this. This is an export render test that I did between these two computers. And yeah, you can see that the M4 Max MacBook Pro was way faster than the M1 Max finishing it. It's not 100% of a difference, but 30-40% of a difference makes it worth it for professionals. Well, again, for semi-professional work or professionals that don't require the urgency and time is obviously not worth the money, then the M1 Max is also a very valid option. Again, this machine on the timeline, still a beast. You can start to notice on AI renders and AI tasks, and of course, the exports is not as fast as the M4 Max. Other than that, on the Final Cut Pro, it's still very powerful. Going for DaVinci Resolve, then because this app is not as optimized as Final Cut Pro for Apple Silicon, then you will notice that the M4 Max is definitely faster, especially when adding any type of effect or color grading, which DaVinci Resolve is known for that. Then the M4 Max will be able to run through and chunk through the footage with no slowdowns at 60, 30 frames per second, wherever you ask. This computer will do it. While the M1 Max MacBook Pro, it might stutter a bit, especially whenever adding any type of noise reduction layer. This computer won't be as fast, nor be able to play its real-time speed, which is maybe 30 frames per second. It will probably play it with 20, 15 frames per second. Is it a dream killer? No, but it's kind of an hassle for professionals that want to do it as fast as possible and when time is money. And of course, that's why you pay $2,000 extra for the M4 Max MacBook Pro. Because if the M1 Max MacBook Pro were as fast as the M4 Max, why would you spend the $2,000 extra? Even, why would you upgrade from this machine? You wouldn't. But if you are a normal, semi-professional consumer, just like me, you would not upgrade to the M4 Max MacBook Pro. The differences do not justify the big investment. If you are a company, if you are someone that doesn't really care about the initial investment, but time is money and you can pay off this computer really fast with the time that you save, in that case, it's worth to upgrade. Finally, 3 years later, the differences between the M1 Max and the M4 Max, which are about 50% in the benchmarks, are quite big, quite noticeable, and definitely worth it. So, if you look at the used market, you can get the M1 Max MacBook Pro for around $1,500. This is the fully spec'd 32GB of RAM, 32 GPU cores, full-blown M1 Max chip. And you can get it for $1,500, the base price for the M4 MacBook Pro. While this computer, new, costs almost $4,000. It has more RAM and it has more storage. It has 48GB of RAM and I think it has 46 GPU cores, which is insane. It has 1 terabyte of storage. This also has 1 terabyte of storage. One thing that hasn't changed in 3 years since Apple released these two computers is the storage options and the price for those storage options. So don't waste your money on storage options, just simply buy external SSDs, guys. Buy 1 terabyte, way more than enough for your day-to-day use, and then get an external SSD. But going back for the prices of the used market, this machine you can get it for $1,500. This is almost $4,000. So $2,500 difference between these two computers. Can you justify an extra 40% of performance? Most people would say, oh, that's completely justifiable. But then I ask, what's 40% of 1 minute? Well, that's less than 30 seconds. Am I right? Would you spend $2,500 for 30 seconds of a difference? You wouldn't. So 40 or 50% of performance difference is really relative to what you are doing. If this computer takes 5 minutes on the task, this one takes 2.5. Do you spend $2,500 on 2.5 minutes? Again, this is not taking 1 hour and this is taking half an hour. It isn't. So for some people, those 5 minutes on 10-minute exports are valuable. For me, it isn't. I can wait the extra 5 minutes and save the 2.5 grand. Well, for some professionals, especially on the real field, so they are out and about on the field, they really need to export videos really fast to actually take a look at them in the field, in the moment, and change the shot. That, in that case, that's really worth it, and saving 5 to 10 minutes can be lots of money on set. If you are doing it multiple times per day, it can add up. For me, I do it once per day, and yeah, I can wait the extra 5 minutes and save the money. So these are two different examples that can show you if you should upgrade or not. Try to put yourself in your shoes and decide, can I wait an extra 5 minutes and save 2.5 grand, and then wait for the next few years until something faster comes out or cheaper comes out, or should I simply splurge the money? If you're currently looking at these computers and thinking, which one should I buy? That's a different story. If you want to get the newest computer from Apple with warranty and stuff, that's different. And if you have any type of company write-off, that's also different. But if you right now have the M1 Max MacBook Pro and you are thinking of upgrade, I would be very, very careful wasting your money. But if you're also a semi-professional guy that are looking to the used market and say, I don't really care if I buy used or new, in that case, I still recommend the M1 Max MacBook Pro. But let me know in the comments below what you think. Which one would you pick? The M1 Max MacBook Pro or the M4 Max MacBook Pro? Again, for all the things that I've showed you some benchmarks, I've showed you some real-world tests. The differences are noticeable. They are. But are they really worth it? This machine is still super fast, super reliable, super efficient, and with an insane battery life. Again, 2-3 days, easy. All this computer is better in every single way, but so much more expensive. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Which one would you pick? Drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.